The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
I want to begin today's episode, which is Wednesday, December 30th, 2020. For all intents and purposes, I really should be somewhere celebrating and not doing a podcast. But I want all of you to give a very special thank you to David, our producer, who's like, Ben, do a damn podcast. If I don't do anything else, do a podcast. So, yes, David, here we are. I really wanted to start by giving a shout out to a YouTuber by the name of CyberDemon531. She put out a video sometime ago. Well, not some time ago, but she put out a video that is really, really good. That really kind of encapsulates the situation that's happening on the left. I think anyone who's been with me any amount of time knows that every so many years, I have to regularly assert my independence from any collective group. Okay. Sometimes I do just throw bombs and let them land wherever they land, just for the sake of making sure that everyone knows that I am my own person. And so it has been on, I guess every 2 years we go through this. We go through a situation that we find ourselves in disagreement on the left about some issues. I don't think I care to go into the particulars of this specific kerfuffle, which is apparently my new word for the week. I mean, not my new word, but my favorite word of the week. I don't care about going into the nuances because I'm going to be honest with you. I want to say something kind about the left. And trust me, this is not for me to curry favor with you guys because you know me. I'm still the same OG. Been low key. Hated on about me anyway. Y'all know me. And I think some of the problem is y'all know I am the wild card in this equation. In the sense that I will fight you guys. But I think you also know something else about me. If I'm wrong about something, I'm more than happy to admit it. And as belligerent as I can be, and as arrogant as I can be, I'm also cognizant of the fact that some of the people who disagree with me right now and are infuriated with me right now, they mean what they say as much as I mean what I say. And we just disagree. And we just happen to disagree on something that we are all very, very passionate about. Now, this is no concession whatsoever. Every day I wake up and I have to make a cognizant decision, conscious decision, to not actively come in there on Twitter and rain down effing hell on people that, regardless if you think I'm your comrade, I consider you comrades. You all know that I'm fully capable of that, but I make the conscious decision to not do that because I know that some of you are not grifters. And I think I am really consistent about this. I know I'm really consistent about this. I have called out the people by name who I believe are grifters. And I have called out the people by name who I believe are acting in bad faith. But I don't think I've actually slowed down and said that I do honestly believe that there are some people who are enraged with me to the highest order, who are operating in so much as they know it on their good faith desire to get Medicare for all. I haven't actually admitted that. And I think that's a worthwhile admission. I'd be operating in bad faith if I told you that everyone who's on the opposite side of us right now is just a grifter. Now, I've never said that, but I have not taken the time or taken the space on my podcast to acknowledge that some of these people out here want to do it just as much good as I want to do. And we're just at a loggerheads right now. And that's fine. And that's fine. Because here's the real deal, folks. I'm gonna use my I'm gonna use my Joe Biden speak. Here's the deal, folks. It's not as well, actually, it is as simple as saying we're not going to always get along. But it's a little more complicated than that. It's what do you do when you have people who are acting in good faith from every measure of their best estimation fiercely disagree on something to the extent that you really look at the opposite person through the lens of suspicion? Well, somebody has to be a good enough faith actor to actually not concede, but consider a different playing field. And here's the playing field that I'm going to consider, and I want us to collectively consider long enough for you to know that as belligerent as I am, yeah, like ultimately I don't revel in the belligerence. The belligerence is a necessary tool. I'll talk about that more in a minute. What I want to say before I kind of engage in some self-aggrandizement about how hardcore I am and kind of, stroke my own ego by saying that I'll fight you guys to the end of the world and back again. Before I go into all that, somewhat necessary posturing, but posturing nonetheless. I mean, you guys don't honestly believe I built this platform on being nice, do we? We didn't. I built this platform on not suffering any fools. And here we are at the stage where I think you all are being fools. But I'd be a bad faith actor if I let the assertion be held that I think all of you are bad faith actors. I don't. I have a couple of key people in mind, but I'm not going to call anybody by name. But bro, there's one young brother in particular. I believe he has the heart of the people. But I'm just going to leave it at that. I am not saying any of this to make any of you for 1 second believe that I have a second doubt about how right I am and how wrong you are. I'm saying this to say all of us can believe that we are right. And at some point we could be wrong, no matter how right we feel we are, including me. And so in yesterday's episode, I took a moment to consider that it could just be, it's just a literal possibility that everything that I am fighting for in this particular moment that I'm willing to burn my entire platform down for, I could just be wrong about that. I could literally be wrong about that. And it's necessary for me to give that caveat, that possibility, to acknowledge that possibility. Because if we can't pause, here's the deal. In my Joe Biden speak, here's the deal. If we can't pause and consider that in the fight that we're currently engaged in, that there's a possibility that we could be wrong, then we do a disservice to truth. And I know I might be kind of navel gazing and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? I'll be honest with you. What else do we have at this point? Here are our options, everybody. Here are our options. One, I could just let this go and just go mind my business and do my business, right? Because we are legitimately engaged in some activities that we are doing because we believe these activities are going to help, whether you agree with us or not. I firmly believe that there's absolutely nothing. We're all wasting our time if we don't win Georgia, right? It's one thing to fight neoliberals. It's another thing to fight fascists. And we all agree that there's literally no chance that we're going to get $2,000 stimulus checks if Mitch McConnell stays in power. And whether or not we see $2,000 as a victory or an indictment of how utterly pathetic America is. we all know there's a lot of people who need that money. That said, we only have a few options here. We're either going to tear each other apart until there's nothing left of any of us, or we're going to come and let us reason together. That's our option. In this fight over what the left is actually going to be, you cannot ask us to cede this territory to you. You can't. And the reason you can't is really quite. If you're new to the podcast and you're wondering what I'm talking about, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's all I can say is I'm sorry. I don't know how to update you fast enough. But there is a rift. Maybe I can. Here's the elevator pitch for people who don't know what the hell I'm talking about. There's a rift in the American left. And I put left in quotations only because who defines, like, being a self-proclaimed leftist is not, doesn't make you a leftist. But that's kind of being pedantic. For all intents and purposes, there's a very meaningful and substantive divide on the left right now. And that left division is one that is being carried very significantly into national politics in the very specific form of undermining the power base of the squad. Now, that's the lens I see this through. As I look at the strategy that was proposed by Jimmy Dore that we've been talking about for 3 damn weeks. So good on Jimmy for making himself the center of the conversation for the last 3 weeks in a substantive fashion, such that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez herself had to respond to what I believe is ignorance. She was kind enough to respond directly and to give her explanation very directly why she thought it was a bad idea. I didn't, because that's not my role, folks. Look, I am who I am, and I can't pretend to be something I'm not. The reason you guys loved me before is the reason you hate me now. It's because I'm one of the most belligerent, well-spoken motherfuckers you're going to ever meet. And I'm the one who will ride into the battle and just like scorch the earth until there's nothing left. And you guys loved that about me when it was useful to you. And now you hate that about me because we disagree on this. Now, setting my own personal self-aggrandizement and ego aside, the fact still remains, we only have one or two options here, folks. We are either going to rip each other apart until none of us are left standing. Fascism wins, neoliberalism wins, and the left is nothing but a scattered group of YouTubers. Or we can come and let us reason together. I think what I guess what I'm offering is, if there are people who believe this in good faith, hey, I'm willing to be wrong. I'm willing to let you come on my show and talk with you. Not just anybody, okay? Because I mean, I'm not gonna let random people who I've there's people we've been in the trenches long enough for us to have open dialogue, right? I don't care about the size of your platform. There's people who don't have any platform except a couple of Twitter followers, but I respect their opinion, and I've respected their opinion for years. And right now, I think y'all are dead ass wrong. I think that this entire thing, and I will make the case, and I will always make the case, that this entire thing is about a power grab from people who are threatened by a faction of the left that is legitimately independent. Okay? So I tell you who I'm not going to talk to. If your line of reasoning and logic goes like this, oh, you disagree with us? You must want a job with MSNBC. Okay, whatever you say. But you don't get my time. You're just going to get a kind of half-assed reference like a subtweet in my podcast. Congratulations. You got a reference in my podcast. But if you're one of the people who say, I don't care about like how big your platform is, like, Ben, for the love of God, would you slow down and just listen to what we're trying to say? Because X, Y, and Z equals 1, 2, 3. Then I'll say this to you. I'm all ears. Tell me why you feel this particular strategy is, one, effective, but two, should be separated from the very obvious agenda of people like Jimmy Dore. Listen, and I'm serious about this. This is one thing I'm serious about. Jimmy Dore is a bad faith actor who would just as soon see the entire left die in order to get a pool added onto his house. Man, I should be sipping on some cognac and enjoying this evening before New Year's. Tomorrow night we're having a party. Invitation only. Patrons, Twitch subscribers, YouTube super chatters. That's what I want to focus on, because ultimately America is so screwed up. America's so screwed up that we need a party. We need a party for a second. That said, we're either going to destroy each other, folks. Because clearly, let's just be real. Those of us who honestly do this because we're just like bright-eyed idealists, and we picked up these microphones because we just, we literally just believe what we say. The rhetorical jujitsu, which is far more Machiavellian than jujitsu, it is the gaslighting that is being deployed against us, is that, oh, you must be a corporate shield sellout for MSNBC, CNN. And this becomes the disingenuous bad faith argument that is used to try to finalize the conversation, to which I say MSNBC can't afford me. See, y'all think people going to run from y'all little shit, from y'all little arguments. No. The only reason I avoid these arguments is because I don't know if you all really understand the extent to which I do not care. I'm so free. I don't suggest that I have any moral high ground on any of you, but I'm a free man. I don't suggest that I'm smarter than any of you, even though if you believe Jimmy Dore, you're dumb as hell. If you follow along, if you have looked at the sum total of my work over the last 6 years, and your conclusion is that because Ben disagrees with Jimmy Dore vociferously, he must have always been a neoliberal shill, then you don't have enough working digits to actually come on this program with me. Fair warning. Just know your lane. No, I'm serious. Know your lane, folks. That said, all of that hubris that I'm obviously incapable of not giving, I'm always going to be an asshole. But that said, some of you are like, you don't understand why we disagree so much on this one thing that I would argue is deep enough to divide the left. Because, you want to know why it's deep enough to divide the left? Because on your side of the equation, you guys have decided that this is worthwhile scorching the earth over. And I don't know that you understood that if nobody else in this argument is willing to scorch the earth over this, I am. Not because of hubris. The hubris and the arrogance that operates and animates me and quite honestly is something that I actively have to work around, right? I know. The pride goeth before destruction and a haughty spirit before the fall. Of course I know. Let me borrow from Jake. Of course I know. My arrogance is going to be my very downfall. The first time I trend on Twitter, I'm probably going to be for something like Ben got arrested for something, I don't know, or Ben got his ass beat because he thought he could be. It's gonna be something. It's gonna be a video of me either. It's just gonna be. It's just inevitable because I am on a collision course with my ego. Fine, I can accept that, but I'm not wrong about this one. But I am also old enough to realize that not everybody who disagrees with me isn't disagreeing with me in bad faith. Some of you are disagreeing with me from the sincerity of your heart. And so if I take a second to set my performative ego aside, because some of it is performative, if I take a second to put my performative ego to the side, I don't recall that I have given space on any of my shows yet to make the consideration that some of you are actually operating in good faith. I still think that you are wrong. But that doesn't change the fact that you are operating in as much good faith as I am. And for me not to admit that, or for me to not at least set that stage for that, then I would be operating in bad faith. And that's something I try not to do. So to that end, setting my performative ego to the side, setting aside my genuine hubris and my genuine penchant for scorch earth fights, the very thing that you guys loved about me, setting all that aside, some of you honestly believe that this is the moment that has been best forged to push for Medicare for all. I disagree with you for some reasons that I can outline later on after this first round of music. But more importantly, I don't even want to talk to you so much as to talk to the people who agree with me. To be honest with you, I think this first segment is for me to talk to the people who actually agree with me. And I want us to pause collectively. For anyone who agrees with me, just pause long enough to understand. And you probably already know this, but I have not said it on my show. Everyone who agrees with me, I want you to consider for a second that the people who are coming after us, some of them actually are acting in good faith and in all sincerity are just trying to help people. Okay. I disagree with y'all, but I salute y'all. I salute y'all. Because I have myself been so confident about something, several somethings. I mean, confident with the same confidence that I'm speaking now, and I've been wrong before. And I will not assume that you are operating in bad faith just because I think you're wrong any more than I would allow someone to assume that I'm operating in bad faith because they think I'm wrong. And if anybody knows me, this is not the very best olive branch that I can give. I actually can do better. But I'm trying. I'm trying because the other option is not really an option for me. The other option is not an option for me. Even though, and I'm going to play some music and let it break, even though I am the most belligerent person out here who will go head to head with you all and leave nothing left until one of y'all, like low key, whatever. Why? Why should we do that? Because if you're operating in good faith and I am, then who wins after we've destroyed each other? The people who are not operating in good faith. And you're never going to get me to say anything about Jimmy Dore other than what I know to be true. He's not operating in good faith. And so, and to that end, why would I continue to play into his hand by being the same level of belligerent that you guys liked before? In this case, me being belligerent actually worsens, or no, it doesn't so much worsen. Yeah, no, it does worsen the situation. I'm not worried about my belligerence making the situation worse because that's what we do. Come on, folks. Here, let's take the onus off of me. I'm a self-reflective person. The funny thing about this is that I'll talk about that later. That's irrelevant. That's just me centering me more. So let me take that off the plate. I'll tell you about me later. You do know that everybody who does this has a level of narcissism and megalomania, right? Every single person who does a podcast or YouTube, we are all megalomaniacs. We're all conceited. We're all self-absorbed. So even when I tell you I'm operating in good faith, I'm telling you that I'm operating in good faith because it's strategically in my best interest to operate in good faith. Okay? It's not that I'm such a moral person. It is that I have done the calculus, and my secret weapon is I'm just going to tell the truth. I don't tell the truth because I'm a moral person. I tell the truth because it's in my self-interested best interest to do so as often as I can, especially flying out here so high and so loud and so arrogantly. I got to tell everybody the damn truth. I got to tell my kids the truth about myself so that one of y'all can't go find out the truth about me and try to hold it against me. See, it's not because I'm a good person. It's because I got to outsmart y'all. That's all. So I'm not posturing this to try to make it seem like I am the better person in the conversation. I'm very transparent. Setting me aside, y'all, I offer to you, based on everything that I have experienced over the last 6 years of this, of doing this, and if you have ever trusted me, the only difference between me now and me 6 months ago is that I can acknowledge that America has broken me. American politics has broken me a little bit. And I'm more prone to actually damn near cry on air. I find, I am emotionally distraught at the reality of not how bad America is, because we've known that. I'm emotionally distraught because of how broken humans are. And that stuff has emotionally broken me. It takes a lot of propaganda and breaking us down for us to sit by and watch 350,000 people die and this government is still standing. Wow. That's me being transparent with you, admitting to you that, I don't have it all together anymore. I don't. I'm emotionally a wreck. I'm crazy enough to tell you that because I think telling you that is actually liberating, not only for you, but also for me, not only for me, but also for you. Because, right, if people actually expect us to have it all together right now, what kind of sociopaths are that? This has been the year. This has been the most traumatic year. But forgive me for going on so many tangents. If at any time have you ever believed me about anything, the only thing different about me today than 6 months ago when y'all were all in my corner is that America has broken me enough for me to not give a damn anymore. I'll play some strategery. Funny enough, that's the word I wanted to say, was strategery. I'll engage in some strategery. But if you have ever believed me before, listen to me when I tell you this. Even if you disagree with me now, you believed me before. I didn't lose 15,000 followers because you never believed me. I lost 15,000 followers because you believed me, and now you can't believe that you disagree with me, and I'm so flagrantly arrogant. Sis, hey, you liked it when I was wielding that arrogance against neoliberals. But now that I have to wield it against you, you must conclude that I am a neoliberal. Funny how that works. Oh, man, see how much I'm making this about me? I'm sorry, guys. The point is, if you have ever believed me, let's see if I can finish it without letting my ego get involved. If you've ever believed me at any point, believe me when I tell you this. If you are engaging in this in good faith, there are people in league with you who literally are doing this to undermine the power of the left that we have finally been garnering. Look, check out my interviews and my episodes over the last 3 months. Oh, man. Will you listen to me when I tell you? Some of the interviews that I had were specifically about the amount of institutional power progressives are amassing. And when I say institutional power, I don't mean it's because I was depressed at first. I forgot the gentleman's name. I know his first name was Jonathan. I can't remember his last name. But he came on my show, and at the time I was like, I guess we have to plan for the next 20 or 30 years. And he was like, no, no, no. What do you mean? He said, we have been putting ourselves in position for the last 20, 30 years. It has taken that long to recover and to rebuild the left and to get the left into a position where it actually has enough institutional power to make the Democrats shake in their boots, to primary them and put them out. And it was in one of those episodes alone that made me bullish, to use a capitalistic term. It's made me bullish on the prospects of progressive power because we have institutional power. And if you have ever believed me before, the only difference between me now and the time you believe me is the fact that I can admit that America has broken me a little bit. And just like everybody else, I probably need to seek some mental health counseling as soon as I can get some health care. Funny how that works. Funny how that works. I've been fighting for Medicare for all before some of you were even on the scene, but that's not the point. The point is that if you have ever believed me before, even if you are operating in the best faith that you know how, there are people in league with you who literally have been assigned to undermine the power of the progressive institutions that we have been working on building over the last since Barack Obama snatched it from us in 2008. Snatched that institutional power from us in 2008 by ensuring that fundraising only came through his organization and no fundraising went to the outside organizations. That is the number one way that Barack Obama himself helped obliterate the left. Well, it ain't 2008. It's 2020. And we have institutions, we have individuals as well as groups and institutions who are capable of primarying centrists and getting progressives in Washington, D.C. so that we can actually implement change. And there are people in league with you, no matter how good faith you are engaging in, how much good faith you're engaging in. There are people in league with you who are seizing this moment to obliterate that power structure. And who does that stop from getting Medicare for all? You and me. Got to sign up for Obamacare before midnight tomorrow night. I have no idea how much I want to pay. I can tell you this, I couldn't afford it last year. Last December 31st, me and my wife were doing a podcast. You can literally go listen to it. We were doing a podcast. That's one of the first ones, and probably the very first one we did together. I don't even remember what we talked about, but I remember most of all, it was New Year's Eve, and I remembered, oh my God, I got to sign up for Obamacare, and we started doing it live on air, and then I saw the number, and I was like, we don't have that money. I could not afford Obamacare December 31st, 2019. And I swear on everything, the techniques, the language, the strategy, and the attacks on the progressive infrastructure that has been literally sending progressive after progressive up to Washington, D.C. since 2018. They have been escalating and getting more people in 2020, and we're starting to get in position to actually do some good for the progressive future. That power structure is the power structure itself that is under attack by people who are standing next to you in this fight. So, we got two options here, folks. We can either lock in to the fact that I am the biggest troll out of all the trolls on Twitter. I can lock into that ethos and lock horns with you all and collectively we'll just burn this thing down together. Or we can come and let us reason together. There's actually a third option, and I think I'm taking the third option. Whether or not you come and reason together with us, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm actually mature enough. I think I shouldn't start a sentence like that because there's no telling. There's honestly no telling. I don't know how I'm going to respond. Man, I'm volatile. I'm a lot more volatile. And I'm not afraid to admit it because I got reason to be. Because I'm an American who's as much a victim of this capitalistic system as the rest of you. We all should be volatile, okay? Can we all agree there? Can we just pause? And if we disagree, if let's have an armistice for a second. Okay, just for a minute. Can we all agree that we have all been through enough in this country in 2020 alone for this country to, quite frankly, not be standing anymore? Can we all agree that 350,000 dead is an abdication of their right to lead? Yeah, well, I keep pushing this music back further and further. Let me just let it play here, and we'll keep talking after the break. There's a third option, and I think I don't know if I'm mature enough to take this option, quite frankly. I might as well talk to you guys and just be 100% even more transparent. I don't know if I'm mature enough to take this option, but the right option for me to take is to just let this go. Okay. It's to let it go because there is no victory here to be had for anybody. We've all already lost, to be quite frank with you. There's only one person two people who won here. 3 if you count the people who are trying to run up this scorecard on their YouTube channels and their clicks. Shout out to all of y'all. Shout out to Actify Press. Y'all get them clicks, man. Game recognized game. Do you think? I don't know that I'm mature enough to take the right option, which is to just let this go and let y'all do whatever the hell y'all want to do and go on about my business. Because every time I do that, there is a cancer on the left that has metastasized and gotten even worse. Because I'm one of the people who just sometimes try to ignore things. Believe it or not, I do. I just shut up a lot. Y'all see. I mean, this is funny enough. I vacillate back and forth between Twitter ain't real, because a lot of folks on Twitter ain't out here doing real stuff. But then there's also the fact that Twitter does affect national politics. So it's very, very, very real. So the conversation I'm having is about Twitter, and to some degree, the extent to which American politics is reactive to, or responsive rather, to Twitter. American politics is responsive to Twitter. It's some of the reason you're talking to me now or listening to me now. I wish that I could say that I trusted myself enough to say I'm mature enough to just let this alone. I am mature enough to have at least come to the conclusion that I forgot to honestly concede that some of you are operating in good faith. That I'm mature enough to handle that. But for me to just walk away from this, I don't know if I'm mature enough to do that. I'm a moth to a flame. I don't know how to not charge in like a bull. Except the fact that you lose if I do that. I lose if I do that. Jimmy Dore wins, and he gets his extra pull. Somebody else wins. Hey, sis. I'm sorry, I just listened back to that last couple seconds because I deleted something. I'm an asshole. And I'm okay with that. But the point is that I am not ashamed to admit I'm actually just kind of saying this as an act of accountability for the people who actually trust me and believe me. I'm kind of just admitting that I'm not quite mature enough to, at 40 years old, mind you, to walk away from a fight that I believe I'm right about. But here's the alluring thing on the other side of this that is drawing me. And this might fall into the category of one of those things that I should just do and I tell you and just do it. But nah, that's not how I operate. That's not why you've been listening to me all these years. You listen to me because I just tell you everything. Guys, y'all low key know 99% of everything I've done in my life. I tell it on this damn podcast. It just so happens that I have a pretty moderately decent, nope, let me not even say that. I don't claim any moral high ground. I refuse. Nope. Let me shut that up. Zip, throw that sentence away. But I do tell you guys everything. So I might as well tell you this. There's an alluring possibility for me to completely leave American politics alone. Not out of any kind of defeat, because I'm arrogant enough to never lose and just sit here and burn it to the ground. But who cares about that? Everybody can do that. I don't get extra points because I'm an asshole. All right. It's been helpful, but at this juncture, I don't get extra points for that. What's alluring to me is absolutely just walking away from American politics in the sense of its commentary and in the sense of caring whether or not of what is representative of the left, who's what faction of the left wins this debate. I'm really tempted to just walk away from all that because I honestly only care about one thing. If you want to know what I care about more than my ego, what I care about more than my performative arrogance and my genuine arrogance, what I care about more than my immaturity and my inability to let go of this fight, there is something that I actually care about more than that. And that is, on God, I think it's more important for me to use my time to kind of fix the real problem in this country. I believe the real problem in this country, Nate, the problem across the face of the planet is that, human beings have been beaten into submission so much by this capitalist system that they don't even understand that their life is valuable. Because forgive me for my imperialistic framing. I almost said every American. Forget every American. If every human being on the face of this planet understood how amazing they were, there's literally no way these governments that are in power right now could stand. That's what I honestly care about. I care about you knowing that as arrogant as I am, I think you should be about yourself, about your brilliance, about your capacity, about your contribution to society, about your greatness, about your uncanny knack to do something. Like, the only thing I care about more than my ego, honestly, is y'all. Now, that's a self-serving statement that, ultimately probably draws you closer to me. I get that. Listen, I am self-reflective to a fault, and sometimes I just need to shut the hell up. Okay. But it is New Year's Eve's Eve, and I'm doing a podcast because my producer said that the least I can do is do a podcast. Hey, David. But I swear to God, folks, the only thing I care about more than my ego is the fact that if every human being honestly could just for a split second see themselves the way, let me admit it, the way I see myself. I think I'm a dope ass dude. You know what? You should think the same about you. I don't say that from the perspective of a Joel Osteen inspirational speaker. I say that from the perspective of a man who's emotionally broken because 350,000 of us Americans alone, because of our ignorance, are dead because of our ignorance and our politics. So you got to understand something. I don't think I'm the person y'all got to worry about. Because I have been plagued with the sin of arrogance. And that has put a cap on how far I can go. And it has unfortunately put a cap on how much I can actually get accomplished for my real mission. What I really want to do is just tell y'all that humanity, not America. Forget America. Forget about America. When America is gone, there will still, God, I pray, there still will be human beings with the brilliant capacity of consciousness and the ability to fathom the infinite, the infinitely big and the infinitely small, the brilliance of humanity that resides in every single person, including the families that are desecrated by our bombs that we sold to Saudi Arabia, that are being used to level a level of disaster and famine on Yemen in a... You guys don't honestly have to worry about me. You know, my ego is going to resolve. That's going to take care of me one day or another. Or maybe I'll actually grow up and get over myself. Y'all better worry about Benjamin the Dixon II. My son has a way bigger heart than I do. My shit's pretty big. And I'm not talking to leftists. Oh, no. I'm not trying to warn leftists. No. I'm trying to warn America. There's a generation of people who are growing up that don't give a damn about your rules, America. They do not give a damn about your ability to crush us. The reason I think y'all need to worry about my son is because two things. He has a bigger heart than me already. He's moved to compassion on behalf of hurting people, of people who are hurting already. He just turned 10 years old, and he's asking the question, why are there such things as homeless people? If America hasn't fixed this crap that it does to human beings, by the time this next generation, our children, it ain't just my son, it's your kids too. By the time this next generation gets older, and guess what? Guess who probably will be in power by then? My generation, right? And you know what I'm going to say when I see these kids? I'm going to be like, we should have fixed it. That's on us. They going to see us. They going to see us, y'all. This next generation is coming to see America. And we better fix this thing before they have to, because they are not going to be remotely as patient as I have, if we have been. That said, the third option is the one I think I'm going to go for. And we'll see what level of maturity I can gather up in the new year, whether or not I can just let this divide that is going to persist on the left, not whether I participate or not. Okay. I think we also need to make clear that my platform is still small, and, you know, it's big enough to not be concerned about the 15,000 of you who unfollowed me. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at y'all. I'm laughing at my dumb ass being so. Why don't I just shut up? Why don't I just shut up and say something kind? We'll see if I can pull that off in the new year. Because the only way I can say something kind is if I leave American politics alone. Because American politics has broken me. It has. But I still have hope. Not in America. Not in American politics. Not in progressives. Not in progressivism. Not in socialism. I don't have any hope in any of that. And I'm not saying this through the lens of some old memes, some old name it, claim it, Joel Osteen inspirational speaking. I'm saying to say this. Y'all mess around and let billions of people ever come to terms with the fact that no matter where they are on this planet, they are amazing creatures who have the brilliance of sapience consciousness and the capacity to imagine the infinitely big and the infinitely small and to comprehend the infinitely small. Y'all mess around and let billions of people actually understand that they are more, their lives matter way more than your quarterly profit margins. And I'm telling you. So when I say my option 3 is to let this go, but the only way I can let this go is to let American politics go and completely shift gears and bid you guys farewell in terms of caring about the political posturing of the American left. And let it go and just pour all of my energy into doing what I think is the most necessary thing to be done. And that's to remind every human being that you're more important than these corporations. You're more important than their quarterly profit margins. You're goddamn it more important than their ambition. You, my friend, are more important than the ambition of politicians, the ambitions of men that have historically caused so much pain. You are more important than these governments that have abandoned you. I think just kind of reminding human beings of how valuable you really are is probably the most dangerously revolutionary thing that we can do, because you don't sit around and watch 350,000 people die because of the negligence of this government and allow that government to stand once you realize how amazing you really are. And once you set your own arrogance aside long enough to realize that the person sitting next to you is just as important as you. That's my true message. That's kind of really, it took me years to actually solidify it in that way. And honestly, that's the only thing that pulls me out of the feedback loop of my arrogance that was necessary to build this platform in a sea of megalomaniacs. Of course, you guys, I had to wield, I had to carry myself the way that I did. And it just so happened to be easy for me because I'm not necessarily a good person. Okay. I'm not necessarily a good person. I'm ego driven, just like everybody else. But the only thing that can save me from myself is the fact that I think and I know without a shadow of a doubt, you are as important to this planet, to this country, to your community, to me, as I am. So I offer to you all, even if we don't come and reason together, the only way I can survive this personally is to leave this alone. I can't fight this. I can't. Not because I am incapable of it. It's just that to win this one, it's going to require me to, I'm a belligerent dude, but believe it or not, I'm actually a very caring guy above my belligerence. And I would betray my true self if I allowed myself to win this one. I can't win this one without hurting a lot of people. And while I'm equal to the task, I don't admire that. So I say a couple things. One, I'm standing down. I'm standing down because I actually care about y'all, man. And I'm not talking to my followers at this point. Y'all know I care about y'all. I'm talking about the people who disagree with me the most. Truth is, we probably agree on 99.9999% of things, and now we are the fiercest of enemies. and whether or not we remain enemies is kind of up to me, because at some level I gotta be mature enough to say this ain't even my real fight. I think this is an important fight. I think this is a fight that's way bigger than me. Way bigger than me. But like I said, every podcaster has a level of megalomania. They're just not going to admit it. I'm going to admit it to you that, yeah, somehow or another, I think all of this centers around me. Why would I start lying to you now? But the only thing to me that is more powerful than that, believe me when I tell you, there's two things that drive me to an emotion. Beyond that, I'm trying to figure out, damn it, am I a sociopath? I'm really I'm really doing some self-exploration here to the level of understanding that in some ways I'm a villain in some aspects, right? Can I say that? I want to drop this to you. I want to drop this off on you. Let me give you a big one. Here's a big thing. Y'all be careful in this self-exploration journey. I got into this self-exploration journey, I would say 10 years ago. No, further back than that. What was that girl's name? No, not the year. What year was it? It was 2006. It was 14 years ago. I've been on this self-exploration journey for 14 years. Somebody should have warned me what I'm going to warn you of right now. There's a saying, noce te ipsum. Now, I can't pronounce stuff right, so I probably brutalized that Latin, right? Noce te ipsum. But it means to know thyself. People don't tell you or don't warn you that if you go on a journey of knowing yourself, that includes the bad stuff about yourself, too. And I always said, what if you look in the mirror and didn't like what you saw? What if you came to know who you really are and it was the opposite of what you always thought about yourself? See, self-reflection is actually a very, very, very dangerous thing that can completely throw you off a game. Completely. I can't even pretend with you guys anymore. I can't even pretend like I'm a media person. I'm not a media person. I'm not a media professional. I can pretend to be one, but at the end of the day, I'm a dude who thought that I was doing this out of the kindness of my heart, had enough self-reflection time to actually get to know myself, including the ugly things. And oh, by the way, I have a wife who knows me enough to really show me some truth about myself. And then I come to terms with the fact that, wow, wait a minute. Oh, holy shit, I got some issues here. And I don't like all the stuff I see about myself. I'm just throwing that out there to you that if you're on a journey of self-reflection and you like what you see, you don't even know yourself yet. Wait till you get to the stuff that you don't like. That's the heavy stuff. But all that said, holy crap, we're coming up on an hour. All that said, my friends, I'm going to have to see if I am actually able. No, strike that. Restart that sentence. I got to leave American politics alone. American politics, from the vantage point of covering it from the news cycle perspective, from discussing it in terms of these entrenched battles, in worrying about who has this territory, worrying about who has this institutional power, because collectively, all in all, we could say America has failed us. And not only has America failed us, the governments of this world have failed us. And they have failed us in such a spectacular fashion that it reveals the depth of our brokenness, because in America, we sat by and watched 350,000 brilliant minds. I don't care what their career was. They were brilliant. We sat by and watched them die. And this government is still standing. That to me tells me that the problem of this pandemic is not Medicare for all. The problem of this pandemic is that human beings don't understand their value. And if we want a real revolution, and I'm not talking about a violent one, I'm talking about one where the people say, here's your ultimatum. If we want the kind of revolution that actually can change this system, it's not going to start with Medicare for all. It's going to start with a lot of people who don't even know we're arguing about this being awakened to their literal self-worth beyond how they define themselves in context of American capitalism and celebrity, that is not their worth. Their worth is universal. Your worth supersedes anything that this twisted and demented capitalist system offers you as success. You're more than a mogul. You can be. And again, when I say these things, I don't want you to ever for a second think that I'm speaking from the lens of motivational name it, claim it. I'm speaking from the lens of people who know that their lives are valuable. Don't stand by and watch 350,000 people die. More importantly, governments who have gathered their consent to govern would never even think about trying us the way these governments try us if they know that their consent to govern is coming from people who understand the value of every single life, including those in countries we would never travel to because our government is so busy bombing them. When we can understand that value, there is a revolution that has already happened and the government can't stop it. The government can stop our weapons. The government wishes you would try that, by the way. I just keep it 100 with you. I'm already over time. This will be the last thing I say. The government wishes you would try to overthrow it through force. America is so damn barbaric. They will fillet us and put us out on display if we ever got close to overthrowing their capitalistic system. It is a class warfare and they got nukes. All right? But what they can't stop, the people from realizing how unimaginably valuable every life is. And once we get that realization, there's simply no way what this country did to us in 2020 alone and what this country does across the globe every single day and what other countries do to their populations. It simply can't stand. It can't. So that's you know, I mean, for all intents and purposes, I mean, this one's not even worth winning. Not when we got that kind of work to do. So I'm going to sign off by saying, come check out this party tomorrow night. This Zoom party. If you're a patron, Twitch subscriber, or super chatter on YouTube, come check out this New Year's party. And when we get this thing kicked off in the new year, I'm going to do my best. I might have to delete Twitter again. I delete Twitter like every 2 days so that I don't get in arguments. But I'm going to do my best to transition and talk about politics, but talk about it from the perspective of if we are not preparing ourselves for the future, then we are preparing ourselves for destruction. And if I take option 3 versus option 1, which is, yeah, guys, I am as belligerent as you are and we can scorch the earth, I reject that option. Option 2 is, come let us reason together. Yeah, we could do that. But at the same time, if we do that, I'm going to always have to be like, make sure that I don't fall into number 1, which is scorch earth. Like I'm admitting to you. But more importantly, I'm kind of setting the stage for you to understand in 2021. We just simply, I can't give American politics this much of my life force because it's not designed to do anything but to destroy. And we've got to do some building up. That said, podcast is incoming. See you all tomorrow.